Wow. Did you? Okay. First things first, for those of you just watching this, this guy clearly shot this with an orange filter. That's why everything is glowing. That disclaimer out of the way, everything looks really good. This is clearly an SPS mixed reef. I'm seeing some other corals in there besides SPS. This is a mixed reef, but SPS dominant mixed reef tank with a nice clam out front, and I got it back up right there for those of you wanting to get into SPS. Try the waters. That coral right there in front, the purple milka stylo, in my opinion, the best coral to start with for SPS. I use this to test out new tanks to see if they're ready for coral. I've got some on the frag racks over here. Back in the back, grows like crazy. I've had it in all my tanks. It's never slowed down. Great starter coral. That being said, let's take a more look around this tank. We've got this huge clam. Big clam here, big candy canes. If that's, looks like candy canes, a little different. That's a bubble coral. Nice bubble. Love it. Got some more purple milka in the back. If you know this guy, you need to go hit him up for some purple milka, as well as some other SPS. If I was close to him, I'd be hitting this guy up for frags, and yes, I would even pay him. Fantastic looking corals. We've got some mix of fish. I'm sorry, I keep getting distracted by these corals. Okay, so we got some Monty caps that I personally wouldn't put in there. That's me being picky because this tank looks so fantastic. We've got some zoas in there. He's got a little zoa garden. This guy's winning points. I got some stag there. I mean, all kinds of mixed acros, mixed other types of corals. I mean, and some lobos. Like this is the epitome of a mixed reef. Now let's take a look down the side. Loving the little bit of overhang on the rock work. It gives you some depth, some things to do. Ways to mix up your aquascaping. I don't go crazy with arches, but that's a nice little overhang that adds a little depth to this rock work. What a nice side view of this tank. Hopefully this guy has a place to sit and look down the long edge of the tank, because that's a great, wait on. Wait. What's with the orange brain that got banished to the back there? That's like a beautiful lobo that's just got stuck in the back of the tank. Bring that thing around in that overhang I was just talking about. That's a great piece. And it looks even better under the orange filter. We know it's an orange filter, but still, like it's glowing. It looks good without the orange filter. Bring that thing around. This looks like this may be a Walt Disney. I would take a frag of that as well. Again, if you know this guy, you need to hit him up for some coral. What a nice looking tank. I'm curious to see what makes this thing run, what kind of equipment he runs on this tank to keep it looking this great. We've got some clownfish, we've got some spunks, some pink skunks, clowns as well. We've got the little frag of something hanging back there that's likely going to grow into something great. I mean, okay, I'm just admiring the view. I could go on all day about how, okay, now here we go. Here's a nice wide view. Let's stop it there. Okay, I'm being picky because this tank looks great and the person clearly has some amount of skill because they've got their corals to this point. This is a beautiful tank, great view, and then we stick these frag racks in the back. Like no matter how you try, no matter what type of frag rack you go with, it's still a frag rack, and they're usually crammed on the back of the sides of the tank, and it always distracts from the tank. So I personally get the frag racks out of there. Now's a great time to start a frag tank and frag up some of those corals. Get all that stuff out of your display and let it look fantastic. Okay, we have a top-down viewer floating around. Hopefully just has it there for the video. If that's in there full time, I would get that out. Again, it's just distracting from my view on this beautiful tank. Here we go, going down underneath. Oh, things have changed. Okay, so we could use some help in the cord wrangling department. And you don't have to have beautifully wrangled cords to have a beautiful reef tank. This tank is clearly showing that. And to me, it's a little bit of like showing pride in your work. Like if you got this beautiful tank, take half a day, if that, and do at least some basic cleanup stuff. Get rid of this rat's nest. I take that energy bar that's on that back wall, or it could get splashed, especially with this tank since it's rimless. Put it into that stand somewhere. You got some room over here on the left. That way it doesn't get splashed and potentially start a fire or smoke or destroy it and cause a problem with this beautiful tank. That being said, okay, the chiller doesn't look like it's on. Hopefully it's not on because it's right underneath the stand where it takes the heat out of the tank. puts it in the stand, which then heats the tank up, which then just keeps going in that cycle and really heats up your room. You really want to get that chiller out of the room, outside of the structure, for it to function properly. And it looks like we got some cooling fans up top. Hopefully those are keeping the tank's temperature in line where he doesn't need that chiller. We've got a K-More doser there doing some work in the bottom. Aha, here's the rest of it. Oh, there goes the orange filter. All right, so we have calcium reactor, we have a skimmer, all crammed into this sump. Not a lot of working room here, but this guy is getting it done. For those of you that don't have a lot of space, here's an example. You can cram a lot of things in the sump, be creative about it. In this case, he's pulled some stuff out of his sump because he's only got so much space to do it. We've got a calcium reactor, protein skimmer. These look like meaty reactors, small ones up front, and then a Chaeto reactor as well. So we've got a lot going on in a small amount of space. It can work. Is it ideal? No. I mean, sure, this guy would love to have a fish room, but sometimes you got to put everything under the tank. This guy is proving that you can get it done. And yes, sure, I would still clean up things. Again, I'm looking for the tank to be that great. I'd like to see the summit level be that much attention as well. We've got an Altronic monitoring things out here. All right, so look, for those of you wondering how to get a lot of the stuff under the tank and get the job done like this guy is, sometimes you gotta be creative. In this case, he's put items that he don't service very often, such as part of the calcium reactor and the CO2 bottle, outside the tank. And he's smart, he put it next to a wall in that little nook there, so as you're stirring at the tank, you're not distracted by the CO2 bottle and the calcium reactor. You might be distracted by the frag racks, but hey, that's a different story. So sometimes you don't need to put the tank all the way in the corner, move it off to the side a little bit, give yourself some working room to get that gear, the non-essential, the stuff that you don't service all the time, out of the sump. I like that he's putting most of the gear that can leak inside of the sump. I always like to do that on my builds. That way if it leaks back into the tank and you don't come home to a lot of mess on the floor. Let's see where his DKH is running on this tank from this Altronic. 7.89 is what it's telling us. It's telling us that it's low. I'm curious where he runs it all the time because this has got a lot of coral in here. Let's go back to the wide shot. A fully grown out mixed reef tank, SPS dominant. I'm curious where his DKH hands out and how much kind of oomph he has to put in that calcium reactor to get it done because he's got a lot of corals in here. They look like they're growing well. Nice tank, love the corals. I do some work on the wire management and the cord management. Get those frag racks down there. Look, get yourself a frag rack, man. You got lots of growing corals. And not too much longer, those guys are all gonna touch one another. The tank's gonna look a little weedy. Cut some frags, do some bonsai trimming to that tank, do some aquatic therapy, put some frags in the frag racks, and if you're anywhere close to me, let me know. I'll come buy some corals off of you. If you know this guy, you need to hit him up for frags. Nice tank.